non-believer, a sinner, slave, redemption, service, scandal? Was he a simple preacher or the magical slayer of pagans? Find out as we complete our deep dive into St. Patrick. No affiliation.
Don't adjust your settings. You are right where you need to be. Pull the curtains. Lock the doors. They can't know. They don't want you knowing. So pull up a chair and prepare. The Conclave is now in session.
Our next thing, the next book that came out, also Life of St. Patrick. Now, this was done by an English monk, Jocelyn of Furness. This was written in the 12th century. We're now looking 700 years posthumous. So Patty's been dead for quite some time now. And it was written specifically for Irish nobles to include Archbishop Armage and the Bishop of Down, right? So this guy was known to take older works and older material already written and rewrite it and make it his own.
Oh, so the English monk Jocelyn of plagiarism.
No. The monk wasn't the. Oh yeah. Never mind. Sorry. Yes, I'm thinking the Archbishop. Yeah. So now we have, and this is a quote from the book, and by the powers of his prayers, he freed all these likewise from the plague of venomous reptiles. But other islands, the which had not believed at his preaching, still are cursed with the procreation of those poisonous creatures. Enter in the snake story. 700 years after St. Patrick died.
After a dude who was just going around going like, "Hey guys, Jesus
Yeah.
did this shit
Yeah.
and stuff," and
Yeah.
we kind of like him.
Here's my $20. Attention, everybody! I have a story about a carpenter.
Yeah.
And now he's chasing snakes
and crushing druid skulls and turning into deer and
a pretty magical guy. He sounds like one of us,
right?
Also,
I'm still working on earthquakes.
No, we'll try again tomorrow.
Yeah.
So also the story came out that he found the staff of Jesus while he was in Rome. Also in Rome, he had taken a personal tete-a-tete with God. So he sat down in a room with God and got direct instruction. Although
he had to go to Rome for that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's so we know he already had these tete-a-tetes, right?
Yeah.
He got dreams, he got visions,
and not once was it in Rome.
Not in Rome. So do I believe that you can sit down and have a tete-a-tete with a god? I sure do. Do I believe this one? Sure don't.
No, that sounds like Rome trying to recenter itself around a saint and trying to.
Yes. In this tete-a-tete, this is where he was told by God himself that he is like Moses. And God assured him that he will always answer every one of his prayers. Other stories were added in there were inserted into older mythology. There are some stories of replacing the god Lu with St. Patrick to include the creating and founding of Lughnasadh.
And it's Lughnasadh, guys.
A festival that predated Patrick by hundreds of years.
Yes.
There's other ones in there where I believe it was one of the minor goddesses, either that or it was a Fey princess, saw Patrick, saw him do a miracle, and turn their love away from the gods and followed him and became nuns. Right? So they were looking all over the place and how the heck can we do this? And how do we strengthen all of this, right?
Just a reminder, it's not llamas.
Oh, it's so not llamas. We covered this last year, and I swear if I hear any of y'all going into that BS, get my blood boiling.
If it has a mass at the end, it's for Christians. Thank you. Good night.
So now, how do we know the historical timeline that we went through and the historical story that we went through is accurate and these books aren't? That's doubling back around to his Confessio.
Yeah, I'm going to do an asterisk on this. Everybody writing their autobiography is going to try to make themselves look as good as possible.
Okay, that's fair. However, as good as possible is him going, I paid dues to preach.
Yeah.
And I hope I did enough. It's not, I turned myself into a deer and we escaped.
Right. It's like...
I drove away the snakes of Ireland.
No. Because I think he, like you said, he was actually truly devout. His making himself look better is showing that I did all of this with the utmost humility and respect.
Okay, I see what you're saying. You point out the fact that, yeah, even though he's writing to pump himself up, it's still showing a lot of humility and respect. Okay, I get you. We're on the same page now.
It's the unhumbly humble.
Yes. Now, we also have a few historical facts that are going to help do this also, and not just his Confessio, which painted a humble sinner, opposed to a genocidal maniac. So when we look at historical truths, the timeline of the Druids and paganism in Ireland remained the main religion for about 200 years after Patrick's death. What time does this sound like? What are we now touching into? What also came out 200 years after Patrick's death?
The first life of
St. Patrick.
Yeah.
Right? So we have this correlation. People are now converting more. The religion has had more time to grow, and maybe converting is the less way to go. 200 years later, families have passed down this tradition, and it has grown naturally and through conversion.
Well, especially if they weren't being forced conversion at the time, like having small pockets of conversion that were done, via Patrick, and then grows and grows and grows.
Yep. And then finally, to tip the scales, you have this book come out that said, hey, 200 years ago, we had this fantastic bishop that went through Ireland and he did these things. He fought for your right to be saved. He fought for you. He did this, that, and the other thing. And now that the scales finally tip.
Yeah.
Right. The other one, and this is why I use bishop in the last sentence, he is claimed as being the first bishop of Ireland. However, church records themselves show that there were multiple bishops before him. So again, this is another story that has been kind of created, curated, and grown over time. Okay. And the last one is the snakes. Let's look at fossil data. Let's look at actual scientific history. There is zero evidence of any snakes being in Ireland, since before the last ice age, which began 115,000 years ago and ended about 11,700 years ago. That is when the snakes in Ireland, or what would become Ireland, died off. They didn't survive. They've been gone for a long time. And, when we look at it, the glacial max happened between 20,000 and 26,000 years ago. So anytime after that is when then the glaciers will start sucking back in, and which is why we have such a broad range of it all, right? It took took all this time for it to get covered. Now it's all this time for it to suck back in. And what it's showing here is 115,000 years ago. That's the last time you see fossilized records of reptiles and snakes.
So what I'm hearing is any snakes that are currently found in Ireland since 11,000 years ago were the fault of people.
Yes. 100%. 100%. Now, let's pull in the argument that has grown through the masses in the pagan community over the last couple years. Okay. Yeah. The snakes weren't actually there, but it's a metaphor.
For the pagans.
The snakes were the pagans and the druids. And he drove them out. even though they retained power for 200 years after his death.
Yeah, I was like, but 2 centuries later, they're
still there.
They're there.
Yeah. He killed them all. He murdered the Druids. He blah, 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 blah. These are stances that our community is taking on the regular basis. It is very early March. We're going to start seeing them all over social media.
I'm sure.
It happens every year. It's been going down slightly. I've noticed a trend where thankfully more and more people are going like, y'all shut up.
I think more and more scholars too are coming out and debunking it. Like every year I see people like Morgan Dimer like nip it in the bud before it even starts. They're like, hey, just getting this out here to my followers at least, that's not a thing. Okay, calm down. It's not a thing.
That's not a thing. It did not happen.
And I think part of the reason that people fall for that hook, line, and sinker is I think a lot of, especially like Western mindsets, they think Christian conversion, they're thinking crusades. They're thinking that St. Patrick was at the head of a line of knights. And it's like, you know, he was mostly just going around with maybe an assistant or two, like maybe a couple followers, but that's it. Like he was not going out with a coterie of bodyguards and armed men doing these forced conversions.
Yeah.
He wasn't powerful enough for that. Like
no, he would have had like a chamber boy. He would have had a chamberman. He would have had, a deacon or two. He would have had some priests. You know, as the conversions went, and he showed that it was getting done and everything was good. He would have built up some of this, and some would have just kind of followed along with him. You know, you're probably looking at the same thought process as like Jesus and the disciples.
And I think that's how a lot of like early century conversions went. It was very similar to like, we're just going to go out in the world.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about it. And if they like it,
awesome.
Great.
If not, cool. We'll double back around in a year and we'll
try it again.
We'll hit them back up.
So I think a lot of that, like people think like, oh, well, they're going out with like, not in any of these places do you see him being associated with nobility, really.
Other than paying them for
like you don't like the first time we see his name attached to somebody with any actual power is 200 years after his death.
Correct.
When people are writing books for people in power.
Yes. So this is that dangerous thing, because it's and if you want to ask me, oh, how do we know he could have still been getting violent? Ireland is not that big. Even during that time, it's not that big. Word gets around to the different kingdoms, the different clans, however different counties, however you want to look at it, right? Word gets around fairly, not necessarily easily, but close enough to easily, right? It's not like they're individual islands. It's not like, they're living from New York to California apart.
Right.
So the word would have gotten around that this villainous, violent Christian is coming around slaughtering anybody that won't convert and killing all the Druids. To be a Druid was a massive thing. You're looking at an entire lifetime, like 20 years minimum of training.
Yeah.
Right? It was their entire school education. They were the advisors. They were magistrates. They were everything. So if Druids were being slaughtered by this guy, the area it happened in would have been sending runners out en masse to warn everybody else.
It'd be like if we had a serial killer working their way through Congress. We're gonna notice.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to get swept to the side. People are going to notice when somebody directly involved with their government gets axed.
Yeah.
And it would be in a very, like...
It would have been very public. So it's not even like a serial killer because that would have still been in secret. These would have been people who were proud of it.
Yeah. Like somebody just like living in the congressional building and doing pot shots in the middle of...
yeah.
In the middle of session. Like, it's not...
Take Deadpool, put him in Congress.
And yeah, like it would not go unnoticed.
No, not at all.
And there would still be as much as, especially like people with Western European descent like to discount oral tradition.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we found a lot of scientific evidence that supports a lot of oral traditions and that they knew a lot more than we think they did.
Oh, yeah.
There would be oral tradition of some kind of mythology surrounding that kind of slaughter.
Yes.
We would have 100%. An oral tradition coming from the pagan side that would explain that.
Yeah. Yeah. It wouldn't be quiet for 200 years and then pop up.
Yeah.
The local governance wouldn't have accepted his $20 so he could stand on the soapbox and preach in the town square,
right?
If he had a history of slaughtering people and killing everyone.
Right.
It's common sense, people. It's also the dangers of ignoring history when you're looking at a spiritual and religious topics. I think that's one of the most horrible things that have happened to especially organized religion is we ignore history and look only at mythology and lore.
Yep.
Right? And I know we preach mythology and lore a lot. History is involved in that, people. And yes, I include the Bible when I say mythology and lore. So,
well, and it's like anytime you're doing something like a dive like this, you need to marry what is historically fact.
Yes.
With what is based on faith. You have to take it from like almost like an anthropological study where all of those things combine to give you an idea.
Gives you the full story.
Yeah, or as close as we
can
get. The fullest idea you can of where these mythologies came from, how they would have played a role in the lives, and why that was important to those people. And that tells us what their different roles in society were, what was important to them, what was seen as admirable versus unadmirable. Like,
well, I mean, even when you look at it, historians do believe that there is historical proof of Jesus of Nazareth.
Yeah.
So we know that he lived as an actual man. There was an actual person, Jesus of Nazareth.
Like, we believe there was a guy.
We know there was a guy, Jesus of Nazareth, in the same timeline that was crucified for rebellious reasons. We know that he existed because we have the lineage of popes that are unbroken all the way back. Yeah, slightly broken.
We're going to go into that.
By Pope Joan. If you want to know more about Pope Joan, go to our shops page, the Menagerie PGH on Facebook. Let's look at Mythology Monday that was released on the 2nd of March. Talk a little bit about Pope Joan. And so we do have historical proof. Now, then we have to release the historical side to it, and we get into the faith and the religion, was this man, Jesus of Nazareth, was he the son of the God of Abraham? Was he a deity? Was he
a demigod?
A demigod? Did he do all these
miracles,
magical miracle things? That's where then religion gets played into it. But we can use the history side to it to support at least the realization that some of this stuff is actually real.
And I will point out that he's not the first one to claim to be the descendant of a god. It is actually a really common practice in ancient civilizations to be like, I'm the descendant of Tyr. I am the descendant of Lu. I am the descendant of Ra. Like, these were all things that were used by local lords or higher up, like the pharaohs, your clan chiefs, what have you, to maintain a control over a population.
So, okay, love that you brought that up. And again, any Irish listeners, if I'm wrong on this, please correct me. But in Ireland, with connection with the Tuatha Dé Danann, it wasn't just the leaders who were saying like, "Well, I'm a descendant of," right? It was less of like, "Oh, this is the god of war. This is the god of smithing. This is the god of da 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 da."
Yeah.
The clans were like, this god is part of our clan, so because of that, we're all related to him.
Yeah, it would be like, oh, Briege is the goddess of our clan.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, again, correct me if I'm wrong, it started off with in the clan structure, and then as it became a little bit more regionalized, it was more of the county structure, and it was less of like the god and goddess of this thing.
Yeah, it was
the region, it was the people, and because of that, you have a lot of people saying like, "Well, I'm a descendant of."
Yeah.
There's also the fact that the gods did get freaky deaky. with commoners, and that's worldwide. I don't think there's any um, pantheon or religious structure anywhere in the world where at least one guy didn't get a little freaky deaky with a mortal and have a child.
Or the
So
angels, that
yeah,
was one of the reasons for the
and
flood.
then kid has a kid, has a kid, has a kid, and you still have that blood going through.
Yeah.
So the only one I think we could say is well, no, they say Jesus didn't, but
and to believe that a married man and woman never got it on is just plain gullibility.
I believe his married couple never got down.
That's fair.
But that's talking about Mary and Joseph.
I
not
know,
Jesus.
but she's still sainted.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, as well she should be, man. She gave up everything.
Yeah. I mean, she had to give birth without at least having the fun part.
Touche. So that's where we're looking at that, right? This is how history is going to help us look at and pull us down. So, my fellow pagans, my fellow witches, anybody in our metaphysical community and world, St. Patrick was not evil. St. Patrick did not chase the snakes away. The snakes were not druids. They were not pagans.
There was
He
no
did not
skull
act mass
crushing.
murder. There was no genocide, at least not with him.
And I would go so far to say, it's like, I really don't see there was any miracle working except for the fact that, like, he got lucky a couple times with the weather.
Essentially, I think the miracle working is the fact that, he would have been in direct communication with God.
Yeah, like,
which for
pagans isn't really like all that crazy. We're like, yeah,
and what? It's a Tuesday.
Sorry, your God's a snob.
In his world, though, that was either you're crazy or holy shit, you're a really holy individual.
Yeah.
Which, now that he's been a saint for as long as he has, he's a pretty holy individual. And again, I don't.
Did he get martyred? Because then he could also be a very holy individual.
Nah.
But
I don't think that there was all this evil that could have been put towards him.
Yeah.
And while I am no longer of that faith, I'm gonna stand up and say, don't do that to him. So you know what? For those of you out there who actually don't participate and celebrate St. Patty's Day
because you think he might
because you think it was evil and all this bad stuff, stop. You're fine. Go party.
You can enjoy your parades and your beer and your cold cannon and
unless you drink green beer, in which case
that's weird. Just get a Smittix like a normal person.
That is not right. Do not do that. And if you are going to do it, you better be buying some of the nastiest, worst beer out there. Don't do that to good beer. It's just wrong.
Take a shot of Jameson. Drink a Smittix. Enjoy the parade. It's fine. Like it's not that deep. It's not that deep.
Pinch somebody lightly. Pinch somebody if they're not wearing green. Get all your kisses if you're Irish. I mean, shit, have fun with it, okay?
This is such a secular holiday that being like, I'm not celebrating because is ridiculous, in my opinion.
I mean, that'd be like saying I don't want to celebrate Christmas because I don't like fat people that give me gifts.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just want presents. Leave me alone.
I mean, every year we build a trap to catch leprechauns on the eve of because so this was my mom would always give us almost like a little Easter basket, like mostly candy or a toy or something. And it was from the leprechauns. The leprechauns would come at night and boom, leave you trinkets. So we've kind of done the same thing with the girls growing up, but we build traps, really shitty traps. It's like a cardboard box on a straw.
We're talking some Tom and Jerry level shit.
Oh yeah, like the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote would be like, kind of weak, bro, but it's fun. And they come down in the morning, and the trap has been sprung, but there's a hole punched through the back of the cardboard box because he got away yet again, leaving candy behind. Enjoy the fun.
Yeah.
Have fun with it. Have some sweets. Have some booze. If you're really all that upset about it, just at least let other people have fun. Don't try to ruin their good time.
Nobody likes a buzzkill.
Nobody likes a buzzkill.
The world is too hard and scary these days. Let's
enjoy every little bit of
joy. If somebody is happy, let's not ruin it for them.
Yeah.
There's no reason to.
I mean, my St. Paddy's Day this year is going to be getting ruined a little bit because I got to work. However, I will be wearing green. I'll be wearing my kilt. Not necessarily an Irish thing, but You can come harass me.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm always up for being harassed at work.
Yeah, I know.
All right. So we've gone through the history of Patty. We've talked about the misconceptions. We've talked about what? Oh, actually, one thing we didn't talk about. Okay.
Yeah, all his sins, right?
Well, no, we're getting to that.
Okay.
But I want to use, and this is an asterisk here before we get from one outline section to another, right? So these books that were written about him, that created all these extra stories, that influenced people's decisions, that still today, I mean, look at the last one was written in the 12th century, quite literally just under 1,000 years from that, like 800 and some years since that book was written, and it's still influencing popular opinion.
Yeah, it's still influencing pop culture,
right? And we're looking at it as, hey, this is highly inaccurate. Here's why, and that was pop culture at the time.
Yeah,
those books are pop culture. Those books are propaganda. So this has nothing to do really with St. Paddy. This is just the passionate plea.
People are still falling for 800-year-old propaganda.
And they're falling for a lot of modern propaganda also.
And you are not immune. No one is immune to propaganda. You are not smarter than anybody else.
No.
You're not.
So this is why when you're getting information, you do some homework, you think critically, you form an opinion based off of fact. And I know it's even harder to find fact these days, but it is still out there. So don't let propaganda sway your opinion, especially if it's something big and major.
You know what? You can wait 12 hours to post your take on something until you've had a chance to actually fact check yourself. If you expect your journalists to fact check themselves, if you expect your politicians to fact check themselves, you also need to be engaging in that behavior. Period.
Propaganda is a very wonderful tool. It's also a very dangerous tool. So, and as you see, it's being used throughout all of history. Careful. All right. So now we may have pissed off a bunch of our base audience who just want to be outraged and feel the need to be outraged.
That's fine.
But have no reason to be outraged.
I'm not, so it's not going to affect me whatsoever.
I promise that we are going to piss off the other side also.
It's sin time.
Oh. Can you top me off because we're getting into the tea. Oh yeah.
Oh, we got a nice sound effect.
Oh, I hope we did. Yeah, we did. All right. Now remember, the excerpts and the things that we're about to read came from Patrick's Confessio.
These from the horse's mouth.
Own words. Each one is kind of a little bit different, so we'll talk one, discuss it, talk the other, discuss it. So, and this is also writings from quite some time ago, so the wording is a little weird. They brought up against me after 30 years an occurrence I had confessed before becoming a deacon. On account of the anxiety in my sorrowful mind, I laid before my close friend, and what I had perpetrated on a day, nay, rather in 1 hour, in my boyhood, because I was not yet proof against sin. God knows, I do not, whether I was 15 years old at the time, and I did not then believe in the living God, nor had I believed since my infancy, but I remained in death and unbelief until I was severely rebuked, and in truth, I was humbled every day by hunger and nakedness.
What do teenagers usually do that gets them in trouble?
I mean, let's look at I laid before my close friend.
Oh, see, I don't. Let's see. On account of the anxiety in my sorrowful mind, I laid before my close friend what I had perpetrated on a day. He laid before his friend is I'm telling you.
Okay.
He's laying the issue before because he was sorrowful in his mind. I laid before my close friend, and this is the dude who stabbed him in the back, what I had done that day. But what takes roughly an hour that a lot of 15-year-olds are really into.
Oh, that doesn't take an hour for a 15-year-old.
To work up to it, probably. And again, he's saying God knows it was before he knew sin. So again, we're talking in innocence done, but innocence lost. So yeah, he fucked somebody and had to confess. And so he tells his friend, and his friend's like, "Oh, I'm totally using that against you." Now, if this had been some village girl, I don't think it would have been an issue.
Yep.
I would have been like, "Oh, well, boy," it would have been a 5th century. Oh, boys will be boys. So I'm very much assuming he fucked a boy.
I mean, when we especially look at it, he was humbled every day by his nakedness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had a boyfriend at 15. Probably another equally curious teenager.
Line 29. Therefore, on that day when I was rebuked, as I have just mentioned, I saw in a vision of the night a document before my face, without honor, and meanwhile I heard a divine prophecy saying to me, "We have seen the displeasure of the face of the chosen one divested of his good name." And he did not say, "You have seen with displeasure," but "we have seen with displeasure," as if he included himself. He said then, "He who touches you touches the apple of my eye." So this is in this section where he was saying that when he was kind of wallowing in his sorrow and wallowing in the fact that he's getting told on, that God spoke to him, right? So this is God saying, like, yeah, we know what you did.
Yeah.
I know what you did. Whoever touched you, touched me. It's inappropriate.
Yeah. Didn't
Not
like
right.
that.
Not good. What are you gonna do? You're just gonna sit there and cry about it? Right. So this is that okay, he spoke to me and now I'm
He's like, but like I'm all like, this was a time when they still believed he forgave shit too. So like,
yeah.
he
This
was like,
was this actually shows the loving side of their God, and that is he's rebuking him for his reaction, not for the air quote sin itself.
yeah, like a lot of it seems to be more like, bro, what are we doing here? Like, get the fuck up, get to work. I'm really not worried about this right now.
Yep.
Like, I'm really not worried about the dumb shit you did when you were a teenager. Get moving.
So I hope that I did as I ought, but I do not trust myself as long as I am in the mortal body. For he is strong who strives daily to turn me away from the faith and true holiness to which I aspire until the end of my life for Christ my Lord. But the hostile flesh is always dragging me down to earth. That is,
dragging one down to death.
sorry, dragging one down to death. That is, to unlawful attractions. And I know in part why I did not lead a perfect life like other believers, but I confess to my Lord and do not blush in his sight, because I am not lying. From the time when I came to know him in my youth, the love of God and fear of him increased in me, and right up until now, by God's favor, I have kept the faith.
So yeah, he's gay.
Much. So, and I made sure to add in there the year that celibacy came into play because you can look at this and say, oh, well, he's not supposed to be with women.
He's not supposed to be banging anybody.
Yeah, that's what it means. No, at this time in history, he could have still had a wife,
But
had a family, the whole 9 yards. However, what has always been illegal and inappropriate within the Catholic Church?
Banging boys.
Homosexuality.
Yeah.
Right? So that would be an unlawful attraction.
But see, here's where I get into the because there is translation that it's unlawful to have to engage with sexual relations with boys. There is an indication of pedophilia there.
There is. Now, there were, and this wasn't in his own words, this was in some other um, of the research. There was some implication that one of his assistants, servants, along those lines, was his lover. At one point, that was his lover. Now, in his own words here, he mentions that since youth, he didn't give in and he didn't do. So maybe lover isn't the right way to go about it, but he loved him.
That
There was
there
at
was a
least that
special
emotional.
relationship
There was
there.
a special relationship there. The part that becomes that guy would have been with him from his childhood.
Yeah, like
He
typically
would
if
have
you have a
started off as
manservant like that, it would have started
sort
out
of a chamber boy, a
basically somebody to
polish his
do
shoes.
your gophering stuff.
Yeah, and then as they grow up, they step into more of the role of an advisor because they've been there with you through everything. There's somebody you can bounce your ideas off of. Now, there was no indication that any kind of problematic relationship started while this advisor was a boy. Any indication of a special relationship between them all took part during adulthood. So I think, especially in the ages of the list, I think that's an important thing to mention. I personally still think it's a little creepy. It has a little bit of grooming.
Well, and there's always the power,
it.
even if there was never any kind of um, attraction to young boys or anything like that. There's still a power dynamic issue at play because there's also a chance that this assistant was a slave.
Yeah. No, it was not.
Okay.
Like he knew his father, and the father's like, "Here, take my son and teach him and show him."
And he'll
educate.
it was like a chance to give the kid a good life because he would be educated. He would have a higher standing in life.
Yeah.
Possibly enter
you could look more into it as like the medieval foster kids. Foster my son, teach him.
It was an apprenticeship program, but for clergy.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Well, the other guy, the guy never became clergy. It was just kind of his personal assistant.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there was no kidnapping, there was no slavery put into it. There's no implication that any kind of strong feeling and love type relationship happened prior to being a grown up and a whole ass adult. I think that's an important statement. But like you were just saying, there's a power dynamic. I don't know everybody else out there that's listening watches the show The Rookie.
Yeah.
We're big fans. We're working our way through season 8, and we're very, very happy that Lucy and Bradford got back together.
Spoiler.
It's 9 episodes in. It's like happened in like episode 8. They should. Anyway, but we were discussing it on how there is that little bit of a creepy factor because he was her training officer.
Yeah.
And even though they were both consenting adults from the beginning, he did for a time there hold power over her.
And he held back for a lot of that because they both were aware that there was something like
by the end of him being her training officer, there was already an attraction, but they both held back because it was be inappropriate and yada yada yada. But even moving forward, there's always that slightly creepy dynamic of
when they refer to like her training
grooming.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I think that would be what we could look at from that relationship and be like, that's creepy.
Yeah, because there is definitely a power dynamic at play at the very least.
Yes.
At the same time, he's not really even acting on it and just giving maybe preferential treatment to the dude, then it's like,
yeah, that's a whole different story. Also, there's levels to it. There's different ways around.
We don't know. And again, these words have also been translated because I doubt he was reading or writing in modern English in.
Yeah, this would be more like what, like almost like Elizabethan.
No. Elizabethan was 1600s. That's very modern.
No, but I mean like the style of the way it was translated.
No. This is a fairly modern translation.
Okay.
Yeah. They don't spell anything weirdly. Like there's
that's fair. That's fair. But I'm sure it was, translated into.
It was translated from translation.
So he would have been writing in what would now be considered ancient, or not ancient, but old Latin.
Yeah.
At best, if not Britannic. Like Old English.
And it also seems to be like his biggest issue with this whole situation is not lying to God about it.
Yeah.
And like showing his full face to God about it, which I was like, that he sees that as the bigger sin.
Yeah. Yeah. And in all honesty, it is.
Yeah.
It is, and let me drop a little secret on y'all. So at one point before Jess and I met, I was discerning the priesthood. I was about a year or so into having to wait 2 years to go to seminary because I had to work on my celibacy. And I was not bragging. I had to read, different books and stuff like that to kind of get ready for going into the seminary and eventually into priesthood. And one of the things that I read mentioned about the sin of homosexuality. And I was like, okay, this is interesting because the church I grew up in, they never talked about it. You knew it was wrong. You knew the church frowned upon it and didn't allow it. But they didn't, our
Yeah,
pastor didn't preach on it. He didn't,
you weren't
spread
getting
anything like
fire
that.
and brimstone
We
from
weren't
the
getting
pulpit.
fire and brimstone and hatred and all that kind of good stuff. So I was like, okay, cool. I can finally see what the church's stance is on this. And do you want to guess what the actual sin is for homosexuality?
Premarital sex.
Premarital sex.
Because they don't
That's
allow
it.
And the thing is, that would be gone if they would allow gay marriage.
But they can't because the whole premise of marriage is to populate the earth with more of God's good but that is the main sin at least in the Catholic Church that they don't talk about because heaven forbid that people find out that that's the worst that it is. So later on after that, I would have I was dating a girl after I kind of left that process, and her best friend was a lesbian, and she's like, "All right, let's hear their Catholic boy." I'm like, "Hear what?" She's like, "Homosexuality." I go, "How am I going to condemn you for a sin that I myself have done?" And she's like, "I'm sorry, what?" I'm like, "Premarital sex. I've had a bunch. I'm not going to condemn you for doing something I did just because you did it with somebody of the same gender."
It was in glass houses.
Right? So that's the big secret there. So the fact that he was more worried about being honest with God, again, that tells you something to the character of St. Paddy.
Yeah.
At the same time, one of your main, biggest, and known saints, he didn't play for the same team.
You know what? The addition to rainbows in the
Lucky Charms box.
Into Lucky Charms box make a lot more sense.
A lot more sense. That's why there's rainbows all over the holiday. It's not because the leprechauns have the pot of gold at the end of it. No,
nope.
no. It's that secret little wink and a nod to the fact that
this is satire, guys.
Yeah.
I'm like,
well, the joking side here is satire.
Yes.
The words spoken and the implication behind them is not.
No, I'm talking about the rainbow because somebody will take that for gospel, and I'm gonna have to we're gonna have to do a correction the next time we film. So the whole rainbow thing, we're joking, guys. We're joking. Yes. That is a joke.
I don't know why. I'm sure Lucky Charms put it in there because of the story of leprechauns and pots of gold and
yeah, they're just like, sure, rainbows are Irish. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're kidding. This is a joke.
This is a joke.
There are too many people who don't read the full story anymore. This goes back to the propaganda thing.
The propaganda.
Don't just read the headline.
Don't even get me started. Don't get me started any further than we've already gone.
I had somebody post an Onion article this week.
That's fact.
As fact. And I'm like, guys, it's the Onion. It's the Onion that's been a satire rag for 30 fucking years.
But is it still satire?
It is still satire. It's not like the Huffington Post.
I was about to reference like I remember when Huffington Post was satire.
Yeah, no.
Now it's a legit news source.
The Onion is 100% still satire.
Okay.
But yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest. I've fallen for one or two of the Onion stories
until you see
until I saw that it was written by the Onion.
Until you look at the link and you're like, never mind.
Yeah.
You're like, man, this is wild. But in this day and age, everything sounds like it could possibly be true. So
I mean, they hide the truth in plain sight. The Weekly World News, the Inquirer, the Sun.
Stop watching Men in Black, please.
These are legitimate.
They're not legitimate news sources.
Hidden in every single one of them is at least a little bit of truth. Since we're talking about St. Paddy and St. Paddy's Day, let's put a little extra content out there. because we do have a little bit of time, because we're shooting for episodes to be between an hour and a half to 2 hours, so that we can split it up into 2 full episodes. Let's talk about the other big symbol for St. Paddy's Day, and that is
Clover?
No.
The rainbow?
No.
Pot of gold.
Getting close.
The leprechaun.
The leprechaun.
I'm the leprechaun.
Kate Garth.
Pretty animal. Wayne who did that.
I know. As soon as I said
You're
it, like, shit. I am Garth. So, okay, there's a lot of stuff about leprechauns that are inaccurate as well. So when we're looking at it, they're not these wee little guys that are going to sit on your desktop like you see in Darby O'Gill, right? They actually, size-wise, would probably be closer to Warwick Davies and the Leprechaun movies. You're looking about 3 feet.
It would be a little person, not a little person.
Yeah. Now, at the same time, it's not going to be a 6 foot something tall that we see in American Gods, right? We're not Mad Sweeneying it. Do you want to take care of that?
Yeah, I'm gonna take care.
Just had some customers walk into a closed store with the lights off. So Jess is going to go talk to them. I'm going to keep talking to you. And ironically, the first they weren't depicted as wearing green. They would have been wearing red. Cobblers, yes. Not they probably collected their wealth, but I don't think it would, look at it as pots of gold at the end of the rainbow. They generally, in early stories, would have been closer to the waters. So there's a lot of differences, a lot of misnomers when it comes to that as well. But hey, it kind of leads and it grows and it moves along. So when you see a happy little green guy, yeah, why not? Have some fun with it. But look into the story of the leprechaun. It's a little bit more interesting than what you might originally think. Yeah, they're a bit trickstery. Yeah, they've probably been known to harm a person or two, but they're fae, right? They live by different standards than we do. And to be honest with you, I really think that's all we have for them today.
Awesome. Yeah, they were just here at the damn cat.
Came in for the cat.
Came into a closed store for a fucking cat.
Tinkerbell does it again. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for sticking to us. At this point, we are, the first half of this is going to air on March 8th, so it is the before St. Paddy's Day. The part you're listening to now as we're finishing up is on the 22nd, so we're post St. Paddy's Day. We're kind of splitting the two. Let us know what you think about our plans for the new what am I looking platform, but Format. Thank you. Let us know what you think about the new format and how we can do it that way. If you think of ideas or comments or concerns, questions, email us at The.Conclave.Podcast@gmail.com.
Yep.
You can leave comments on any of these sites that you are listening to the podcast or watching the podcast on. Or you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at The.Podcast or The.Conclave.Podcast. Also, head on over to our store page, the menageriePGH.com for the website, @ that same thing for Facebook and Instagram. There's a lot of good stuff on there. We try to do a lot of information. If you're local, we have a lot of get-togethers and classes and all that good stuff throughout the month, every single month. Come find us. We want to meet you. We want to know you. We want to hear some of your questions. And we want to thank you for coming back.
Yeah.
For those of you who enjoyed season 1 and came back for season 2, thank you. Those of you who are finding us for the first time and going, maybe I'll give some of this a try. Head on into the back catalog. Watch and listen to season 1. Come up with some other questions and ideas. Send them over our way. And it could possibly be featured in our Ask a Witch coming up in August. All right, guys. You have yourselves an absolutely wonderful day. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us at The Conclave.
It's on you now. You have the knowledge. Do with it as you will. Until next time, The Conclave has concluded.